Hello. Welcome back to Let's Talk Ray Bradbury. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please do. So here on Let's Talk Ray Bradbury, I have been working through another collection of Ray Bradbury short stories, giving you brief synopsis and then sharing some of my thoughts. I mainly do this for my own entertainment, but hopefully other people are getting something from these little tales too. Today's story is The Crowd from 1943. It is story number 7 of 100 in the Stories of Ray Bradbury collection, if you are reading along. Synopsis. Mr. Spallner is in a car accident. It seems to be happening in slow motion. He feels himself going upside down. But then all of a sudden, it seems like remarkably, in a matter of seconds, while the car wheels are still spinning, he notices a crowd is gathered around him and are sort of gawking down at him. And it was quite a disturbing image for him. The ambulance arrives, he's taken to the hospital, and he begins asking questions about crowds, and did you see the crowd, and how quickly did they arrive, and he's having these weird questions because he feels like something's not quite right. He's in the hospital for 2 weeks, but eventually he's released. He takes a taxi ride home. On the way, there's an accident blocking the way, and again, he sees a crowd forming around the accident scene, almost as if they'd come out of nowhere. These people, where did they come from? And he swears that he recognizes some of the people in the crowd as if they were the same people who were present at his own accident. Once again, this continues to disturb him. He begins talking with friends, begins doing some research, and going through years and years of crime scene and accident photos, he begins to realize that a bunch of these people, not all of them, but a bunch of these people are actually present at all these accidents going back over decades, and that's really, really creepy. And he tells this to his friend, and he has a briefcase full of pictures and clippings from the newspapers, and his plan now is to borrow his friend's car and to go down to the police and to tell them what he has found. Along the way, he's in another accident, and it's a bad one. And just like the first time, a crowd gathers around him at lightning speed. He sees those same faces once again, and one of them decides that they should move the body, which is something you never do. You don't move an accident victim unless they're in imminent danger of, a fiery death. And moving him, that he knows that it's going to kill him, and that's what happened. In fact, they do kill him, but not before the briefcase is spilled open, and some of these people have seen the clippings, and he figures that they're onto him, or that they know that he's onto him. Therefore, he's going to die, but he's going to become one of them, basically to maintain their secret. And he basically surmises that they must be some sort of being that comes to these these death scenes and basically makes sure the ones who are ordained to die, and the ones who are meant to live survive. Although this is a 1943 story, it of course reminds me very much of the films Final Destination and of course the Mothman Prophecies, both fun films. Mothman Prophecy is a good film. Final Destinations are fun films. But it definitely reminds me of that, all sort of rolled into one, this idea that there are supernatural forces that become sort of present to us when we cheat death or when we are near death. And that vein runs through this entire story. The idea of crowds sort of showing up and rubbernecking at these crime scenes and these fire scenes and accidents. As the story began, I didn't think that it was going to be a supernatural thing because I could really relate to that. Living out here in sort of a rural part of the country, there's so little entertainment, and people do have a way of sort of gathering for almost in a sick way in the name of entertainment. You just can't help but watch tragedy unfolding and drama unfolding when there's so little of it to be found, sort of in the drudgery of your daily life. So I basically thought that that's what this story was going to be about. So it is relatable, but of course not the actual part that is supernatural. That I've never encountered. But it does raise this interesting question about is sort of death stalking us. We like to have that thought, that feeling, but what if it was truly manifest in reality? And is this a way in which it would appear? Bad things happen in our world all the time. And, is someone's watching over these scenes, and what is their purpose? And whether it's true or not, it is an interesting thought. And the idea that there is someone or something not just stalking you, but also possibly, and it remains ambiguous in this story, but possibly there with the purpose of leading you on to the next life, if there is one. As with a lot of Bradbury, this sort of takes a slightly fun, slightly lighter-hearted take on the thing, but it is a pretty dark concept, really. And I think, although we do have movies, like I mentioned, Final Destination, Mothman Prophecies, I think if you dialed it back a little bit, this would be another interesting one, I think, worth an adaptation. Another film it actually reminds me of is, what's the Matt Damon one? The Adjustment Bureau, where there's actually a whole sort of a company of beings who basically are making sure that we hit our beats where we are predestined to do these things and make sure that the path is followed as written, and then somebody dares to try to break the cycle and make their own destiny. And it's very much that type of story. So, yeah, The Crowd from 1943, delightful little story from Ray Bradbury, thought-provoking. This is number 7 of 100 in Bradbury's story collection. So lots more to come in this playlist in the coming months and possibly on until next year. So be sure to subscribe once again, and I hope that you will share this journey with me. So until next time, keep it creepy.